Again, none of this is cute anymore, okay? Prince Harry is the most hated man in the United Kingdom. Breaking today, Prince Harry makes another cringe-worthy appearance, trying to show us all that he's just Mr. Nice Guy. Remember cheeky Chappie? This is on James Corden's World Cup show in Fox in America. But I'm going to show you the real nasty and bitter Duke who, look at this, briefs to the front page of the weekend's Mirror newspaper that he is planning to, after all of that, start another security battle with the new UK government. Oh yes, folks, he still wants our money and is insisting that British taxpayers pay in order for him to continue his emotional reunion with the king. Well, I say hell no. And yet, of course, that is the real reason behind all of these new Prince Harry TV appearances, especially connected to sporting events. He really wants us to believe that he's much more of a football fan than his brother, Prince William. Although, when he was actually asked about that by Corden, watch closely here, he did that weird thing that he thinks is sort of like self-deprecating, but I actually believe is really passive-aggressive, actually, by playing to one person in the audience who he thought was laughing at him. Watch. No, there's actually nothing funny, because here's the issue. We now know the real Prince Harry, a nasty, aggressive man, a man who wants to bring down his own family, a man who wants to bring down his own government, a man that wants to bring down his own people. So there's actually nothing cute about that when he sees someone in the audience laughing at him and he tries to make a joke. I actually think it shows his quite aggressive side, to be honest. Now, you know, Harry was dragged through this humiliation ritual because on the show a few weeks back, James Corden had joked about who the most famous Harry in the UK was. And no one amongst the famous people there, including the England football legend Rio Ferdinand, put him as number one. So Harry clearly knew that he was going to be asked about this. And it was another opportunity to show that he doesn't have the ego the same size as his Montecito mansion. So what he should just do is put himself dead last, of course. He can't quite bring himself to. While Harry and Meghan demand special treatment and attack the royals, the mainstream media still protects them. On Outspoken, I call it out with no bias. So subscribe right now for the full story every day. Trust me, that was a scripted line. I don't think it worked. You may disagree. Interestingly, Harry was then asked about why England's football team didn't make it through to the final, and he went against the mainstream view that it was the fault of the manager Thomas Tuchel and his strategy, rather suggesting that the players, and this absolutely feeds into it, doesn't it? Everything's about mentality and mental health with Harry, and he suggested that they had some type of psychological weakness. Seriously, bore off. If there is one man I will never take psychological advice from in the world, it's Prince Harry. But this outing was all about James Corden trying to do his good friend's PR as usual.
Once Thomas Tuchel steps down in 2 years' time after the Euros, what about this? Manager, Rio Ferdinand. Assistant manager, Prince Harry. Yeah. Me and Ian, bibs and cones, doing the drills, doing the work. I honestly feel...
Again, none of this is cute anymore, okay? Prince Harry is the most hated man in the United Kingdom, or the most hated celebrity, at least, in the United Kingdom. Maybe a few politicians would be more unpopular than him, like the outgoing Prime Minister, Slippery Starmer. And any of these jokes just fall flat because there's no acknowledgement of how he turned on the country and its people. Much of Harry's desperate bid to link himself to football, of course, is because of the jealousy that he has of Prince William. It is worth noting, and I first revealed this news many weeks ago, that Harry was not invited to one game at the FIFA tournament, in part because, of course, it was something very much supported by the Donald Trump administration, who wanted to put David Beckham, Harry's arch rival, at the front and centre of it all. But according to Taz, was very hot on this whole idea of the Prince William rivalry, writing, Harry is still trying to copy Prince William's passion for football in everything he does. Prince William gets asked to be on football shows because he is incredibly knowledgeable about the game and because he loves and supports it. Harry doesn't care about football. He doesn't even have a team he watches and supports. He has nothing intelligent or interesting to say and just babbles, waving his hands around like he's trying to land a small aircraft. Every conversation he always has comes down to mindset, and he just repeats the same buzzwords regardless of the topic. A few weeks ago, we saw Harry the pretend statesman stood on stage in Ukraine in front of a huge Union Jack like he was a British diplomat, as he publicly called out, antagonized Trump and Putin like he had a voice of authority. Now Harry is back pretending to be the carefree Harry, the Jack the Lad persona he was many years ago. It just doesn't work. He's been a miserable, bitter, angry, vengeful and vindictive man for so long that this, to me, looks as engineered as his wife's kitchen skills. And Torre Backahay was even more brutal. Adding Prince Harry, a talentless old baldy without a job who owes everything to inherited wealth and privilege, is still desperately trying to break into showbiz. He's everything Meghan Markle taught him to be. Jerry, very dishonest and hypocritical, and incredibly annoying. And I do think he is trying to work his way back into the showbiz spotlight. Remember, this comes hot on the heels of his solo appearance at the Time 100 sports event in America last week, straight after his return from his meeting with King Charles in the UK. But there is a much more fundamental problem, which Tom Sykes of The Royalist is hot on, and it is, who is the real Harry? Like, will the real Prince Harry please stand up? Who are you? Are you the Jack the Lag, making jokes about your pubic hair and defecating on the M5, the motorway? Or are you Prince Harry, the very serious campaigner for mental health and against the media? And Sykes argues that really this cheeky Chappie rebrand isn't working. He says bears on the table on Fox, the man who complained about being falsely portrayed as a joker, is now back doing crowd work. And he refers back to what Prince Harry almost wants us to forget, and yet we never will, Spare, who he says at its core is 400 pages of a man complaining that the institution cast him as the thick one, the naughty one, the party prince, the lovable ginger idiot, a role assigned to him so William could be the serious one. He was misrepresented, and actually he kept insisting he was the thinker, a sensitive soul, a seeker, a man of depth and wounds. 6 years of that, and now here he is on Fox doing the cartoon stuff again, voluntarily, one assumes, with an unconvincing look and an even more unconvincing glass of lager. Being packaged as a cheeky Chappie was an unforgivable institution cruelty when the palace did it. Now it seems to be a savvy relaunch strategy. Glad we've cleared that up. This is also about the Duke of Sussex deciding Britain is his last best hope, but even by Harry's standards, trying to find a route back into British affection through beer and football is as transparent as buying your wife flowers after an argument with her own credit card. Don't miss a single update on the stories that actually matter. I'm breaking down the news every day, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a beat. Click that subscribe button right now. We have spent years with feelings, Harry. Harry who journals, Harry who processes, Harry who discusses trauma across every format known to the streaming economy. And overnight, Bloke Harry is back, delivering an actual tactical monologue on England before diagnosing the team's problem as their mindset, the most podcast bloke sentence in the English language. It's the same playbook we saw on the sad and embarrassing Joe Marler show last week, of course. Trouble is, there is already a senior royal doing soccer football, and it's William. He is literally the president of the FA. The World Cup is his patch, and he is pretty good at it. I mean, he has a head start living in a country where it is the national sport and all. Is Harry even a fan of a local team? No, he's not. Harry planting himself on a soccer broadcast to hold forth on England's mindset is just an embarrassing attempt to stand on his brother's toes, frankly. Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network, with me now to dissect all of this. I'm sorry, Brittany, to me, it was an unconvincing performance. James Corden is a man who I know pretty well, and he's a strategic brain when it comes to showbiz, and he absolutely wants to reinvent Harry and make Harry palatable to the United Kingdom again. Because remember, Corden's moved back to the UK. It all didn't work out in America, and now he's back in the UK. I don't think this is going to work for Harry, do you? Because unlike Harry, James Corden hadn't spent 2 years trying to tear down the country and its very institutions, including the royal family that he's a part of.
I mean, Dan, I just don't understand how Harry or his team think this is going to work. Honestly, it might be a strategy if Harry was a bit younger, but he's kind of getting too old for this game at this point. I mean, he would hate to hear that, but I think that's kind of sort of the truth here. And the reality is that the problem that has plagued Harry and Meghan for years and years now is a lack of authenticity. And Harry comes across here like he knows nothing about football, can add nothing to the conversation about it, talks about mindset, talks about buzzwords, trying to be funny, but not. And, you know, basically telling us that, yeah, at one point he was kind of good at sports and then he really wasn't. He was sort of not really high up in the ranking. And does he, beyond polo, play any sports anymore? I don't think so. So if this is not really a thing he enjoys, then let it go. But I think because of Invictus Games, he is so obsessed with it that he is trying to, I think, maneuver himself into some sort of like sporting voice. But it's just a joke. Nobody's buying it. Nobody watches the Invictus Games. He's just an absolute joke on this topic, and it came across very well in James Corden's show.
He called himself the Prince of England. He joked about being dropped to the E team at Eton, and he tried to pass himself off as Britain's favorite cheeky Chappie on American television. But behind the laughter on James Corden's Fox Sports set, Prince Harry is facing an explosive, unprecedented backlash. Hot on the heels of another crushing legal defeat, Harry popped up on James Corden's post-World Cup show, attempting to banter about football, joke about his school days, and pretend he's just a regular bloke. But the mask is slipping. While Corden tried his absolute best to rehabilitate his friend's image for a British audience, explosive new briefings reveal that Harry is launching a brand new, hostile security battle against the UK government, demanding British taxpayers foot the bill for his protection. Is this a lighthearted TV charm offensive, or the aggressive maneuvering of an embittered prince running out of options? Let's break down the chaos. To understand why this TV appearance went down like a lead balloon, you have to look at the sheer awkwardness of the setup. James Corden brought Harry onto FIFA World Cup on Fox after hours to run through a classic American late-night PR drill. Corden teased Harry about going to a school too posh for soccer, leading Harry to correct him on British terminology before admitting he went from the A team in prep school straight down to the E team at Eton. And then came the ranking. Corden dragged Harry through a segment ranking the greatest British Harrys. Harry Styles took number 1, Harry Kane took number 2, and Harry was left trying to laugh off a tied third-place spot with a fictional wizard, Harry Potter. Now, on paper, this was supposed to make Harry look self-deprecating and relatable. But commentators instantly picked up on the passive-aggressive undertones. When an audience member laughed a bit too loudly at his Eton downfall, Harry played into it with an edge that felt far more defensive than funny. None of this feels cute anymore. The public knows the real Prince Harry now, and a scripted joke on Fox Sports isn't going to erase 6 years of public warfare against his own family.
And by the way, no Brits, well, I'm not going to say Brits, no English folk are going to accept his diagnosis of that semi-final result where we all just think the Argentinians cheated, basically. But I'm going to put that to one side, okay, given we're an international show. And there's probably some Argentinians watching right now. Brittany, where none of this added up, of course, is that you look at who Harry really is, and I believe it's an embittered man who absolutely has not moved on at all from his huge losses. And remember, there's the loss against the Daily Mail. He still hasn't confirmed, Brittany, that he's not going to appeal that decision. He's just pushed it to one side. And then we have the bigger battle that he's now taking on, and it's versus the British government in terms of his security detail. And the Sunday Mirror front page this week, Brittany, which he directly worked with, briefed all of the background information to, and then provided an on-the-record quote for that front page article, is absolutely telling to me, because it shows you that he isn't moving on. He's not even contemplating moving on. So you might see the sort of happy-go-lucky Harry, and his team might be briefing, oh no, the battles are over. But that's not the reality, as this article proved, Brittany, because Russell Myers, the royal editor of the newspaper, says that Harry is determined to pursue his battle with the Home Office. So remember, Brittany, what that actually means. That means going back to war with the King's government. Just today, In the United Kingdom, King Charles has said bye-bye to slippery Starmer and welcomed in a new Prime Minister called Andy Burnham. That all took place at Buckingham Palace, Brittany, just this morning, UK time. Harry, the day before this new government comes in, is putting on serious political pressure because let me just point out to you, Brittany, that the Sunday Mirror newspaper is a left-wing newspaper which is regarded as the Labour Bible. Okay, so he is directly putting political pressure on on the new government, which is His Majesty's government, his King's government. So he's learned nothing. So let me just take you through the briefing, Brittany. This is what Russell Myers wrote, and I do believe that this has come directly from Prince Harry and his team in Montecito. Prince Harry is to continue his controversial campaign demanding taxpayer-funded security, paving the way for future visits to the UK with his family. The Duke of Sussex has been buoyed by an emotional reunion with the King alongside his wife Meghan and their children Archie and Lily earlier this month for the first time in 4 years. Sources have revealed Harry wants to arrange further meetings with his father to allow him to spend time with his grandchildren he has hardly seen since the Duke and Duchess quit their roles in 2020 and moved to the United States. Harry is set to return to the UK in September for the annual Well Child Awards, a charity he has supported for many years, becoming a patron in 2007. He will also be at the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham and is hopeful his family will be able to accompany him. So confirmation there, Brittany, that he wants to do the big unveil of Archie and Lily's faces at the Birmingham Games next year. But because there's always a catch, Harry now plans to continue to lobby the Home Secretary to complete an urgent review into his security after he sent the department a report from his private security company claiming he is a terror target. And then, by the way, leaked it to Chris Shipp of Woke ITV. So he didn't let the process play out. He didn't get what he wanted immediately, so he leaked said report. Sources suggested the Home Office was further angered by Harry's plan, suggesting the Duke announced his itinerary in the hope of forcing the government to grant them security, which was removed when the Duke and Duchess left their royal roles in 2020. So that's interesting. Confirmation that the Labour government was not happy with the way that Harry dealt with this. Neither the Palace or the Sussex's team have revealed the details of the meeting with the King, apart from the fact that it took place on Saturday, July 11, where Charles and Camilla hosted them for afternoon tea. I mean, again, that's, I believe, a mistake on the part of the Daily Mirror, because, of course, we were told, at least, if you believe it, that the meeting took place the day before. One source described the meeting as emotional, and both the King and Harry hope to arrange a further gathering in the future. But, Brittany, then we get confirmation that this is an officially briefed piece, because a spokesman for the Duchess of Sussex, that is the UK-based Liam Maguire, really his only PR professional, goes on the record within the piece to say, the Duke continues to make the case that he and his family face an enduring security risk by virtue of the circumstances of his birth and his membership of the royal family. The threats that existed while he was a working member of the institution did not simply vanish when he stepped back from official duties 6 years ago. They remain, and the most recent threat assessment underscores the continuing nature of those risks. In fairness, the Daily Mirror did get a critic of Harry. They spoke to Norman Baker, a former Privy Councillor, author of the book on royal finances, Royal Mint, National Debt, to provide the opposing view. He said Harry needs to accept that the question of his security has been considered exhaustively and independently, but he refuses to accept the answer. The issue, I think, is not who pays, but that he wants security personnel with guns, and that is not possible with private security people in this country. It bewilders me that he is so worried about security in the UK, generally a pretty safe country, but not about the USA, where gun deaths are too a penny. And Lee Cohen responded to this new briefing from Harry, writing, no matter what the poisonous grifters are eyeing, it's never going to happen unless, of course, the palace simply abandon any concerns for the reputation of the monarchy moving forward. If the cancerous couple are welcomed back, it will be impossible to respect the crown. And that sort of shows you, Brittany, this is a fault line moment. And I think the King has to be so careful. It's like, you went ahead with this meeting against all of the advice, including from your own son. There's a new UK government. And immediately, Harry is not only briefing the newspapers, Brittany, he's giving them on-the-record quotes undermining your government's decision, Charles. Like, when will this end? And the problem I have, Brittany, is I don't think enough people are looking into this because they're sort of bored of it. They're bored of Harry's moans. But it matters because Charles doesn't seem to realise the threat that he's putting the institution under.
I mean, Dan, this is such an actually a critical fall point, like you said, because when it comes to Harry's children's security, especially, the government had already decided when he was a working royal, they're not getting any. And that was a decision made back in 2019 when Archie was born. And none of the circumstances have changed since. There is no reason to extend security to Archie or Lily. They are constitutionally irrelevant. And Harry will become soon constitutionally irrelevant as well as the Wales's children have children. So this whole argument that Harry is proposing is just something that is unable to get through his very, very thick, very, very dim, excuse me, skull that he's not going to get this. This is a done deal. Like there is no going back. You left, the security is gone, and I'm sorry, maybe you have delusions that everybody is after you, but the government has looked at this exhaustively and has found nothing. There is literally nothing. And so Harry just needs to let this go. But again, I think this feeds his delusions of grandeur. This feeds so much, and he just won't meet with his father, won't let his children spend time with him over this delusional thing that he has in his brain. And it's just not possible. Nobody wants to expend money on him. He is not working for the government anymore. He's not working royal. And even full-time working royals like Princess Anne and Edward don't get full-time security. They only get security generally when they're on royal engagement. So Harry just needs to let this go. This is not going to happen. And this is the future, and this was always going to happen to him. That's the reality that he refuses to acknowledge. He wants to be William, and he can never be, and that's what makes him so incredibly angry.
Then came Harry's attempt at tactical sports commentary. Following England's heartbreaking World Cup semi-final exit, Harry bypassed tactical breakdowns and immediately pivoted to his favorite topic, mindset. Think about the absolute irony here. A man who has spent 6 years diagnosing his own psychological trauma on every streaming platform in the Western world is now lecturing professional athletes on their mental weakness. Royal analysts like According to Taz and Tom Sykes pointed out what this is really about: intense jealousy of Prince William. Football is William's turf. He's the president of the FA, he's deeply knowledgeable about the sport, and he lives in the country where it's played. Harry doesn't even support a UK team. Watching him plant himself on a soccer broadcast to lecture the nation on mindset isn't tactical analysis. It's a transparent attempt to step directly on his brother's toes. What makes this bloke Harry rebrand so deeply hypocritical is that it directly contradicts everything Harry wrote in his own book. Cast your mind back to spare. That 400-page grievance list was entirely built around one central complaint, that the royal family and the palace press office maliciously cast Harry as the thick one, the party prince, the lovable ginger idiot, so that William could be the serious, regal heir. Harry insisted he was actually a sensitive, deep, wounded soul who was cruelly misrepresented by an institution that forced him to play the clown. Fast forward to today, and what is he doing voluntarily on American television? He's drinking beers, doing crowd work, and playing the exact same cartoonish party prince role he claimed destroyed his mental health. When the palace press office managed his image, it was unforgivable cruelty. But when his own PR team books it on Fox Sports to fix his tanking popularity, it's supposed to be a brilliant relaunch strategy. The public sees right through it. While Harry was playing the cheeky Chappie on US television, back in the UK, his team was quietly launching a far more aggressive offensive. A series of front-page briefings revealed that Harry is actively renewing his legal war against the UK Home Office to demand taxpayer-funded, armed state security for his visits to Britain. Just as a new UK government takes power, Harry's team is putting intense political pressure on ministers, claiming he faces an enduring security risk by virtue of his birth. A Sussex spokesperson even went on the record to push this narrative. Former Privy Councillor Norman Baker laid out the reality. Harry's security needs have been considered exhaustively and independently. The answer was no. Private security in the UK cannot carry firearms, and British taxpayers should not be forced to pay millions for around-the-clock armed guards for a non-working royal living in California. Furthermore, the fact that Harry, Meghan, and their children were able to slip into the UK for a quiet meeting at Highgrove without a single paparazzi photo being taken completely destroys his argument that Britain is too dangerous for them to visit. The security hysteria isn't about safety, it's about maintaining royal status and privilege. From trying to match Prince William's sporting platform to launching new legal demands against his father's government, Harry's Hollywood rebrand is fracturing under the weight of its own contradictions. You can't spend years trying to tear down an institution and then expect the public to buy a pint with you on television. What do you think? Did Harry's appearance on James Corden's show come across as funny and relatable, or was it an embarrassing PR misfire? Should British taxpayers pay for his private security? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read your takes. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the royal family.